Well, hello, and welcome back to Pieces That Pat Paints, starring me, a random guy on the internet. But my name's Pat, so now we're introduced. And so you kind of know me now, right? Or, isn't that how that works? Who knows? Not that it really matters. Anyway, we are back today working on this lovely lady, Malenia, whose leg broke, but we got it ready to be repaired. We're going to repair it completely and get it all fixed all the way back up and stronger. It'll be built back stronger. We can rebuild her, make her stronger, better, faster. So we're gonna get her repaired and back up to snuff. But I gotta break her. So I'm gonna do some more. No, she didn't break. Luckily she landed on like the one part of her that's solid as a rock. Good lord. Anyway, this is why we need to get her fit, get her done, because I'm gonna end up throwing this thing across this room eventually with my old jittery hands, and that's fun. And that's one of the best parts about this show, is that it is live, so that you get to see all my major mistakes. We did get a lot of this done yesterday. We've got a few little things to knock out on this part here to get this done, and then that'll be ready to go. And we're gonna work on this and the cloak and getting this. We need to throw a few washes on this. I did finally, for those of you who have been watching at home, I did finally get to watch enough of these cutscenes to finally get to see the right scene, and I got the name of the place where they do their battle. I'm not going to try to say it because I'll butcher it, but I have some scenery pictures, so we finally kind of know what this scenery looks like a little bit. So some of this little rock stuff looks like it's this whiter, it's kind of a lighter white rock, with this being more of this reddish brown colors, and you can see that here on the same thing. Now this is some sort of platelet thing that grows in these areas. I don't actually think that's included on this model, and some of this easily could be some sort of, and there's the lovely Miss Kristen.
Hi, I'm late, but I'm here.
That's all right. Oh, and your area is all cluttered up. So anyway,
my life is cluttered up at the moment. We'll deal with it.
We've had like a crazy couple of days. So, but it's all right. It's all right. Water was in fact closed yesterday. The water park that I was trying to take my children to. I should have known that. And I looked on the internet and it said it was open, but I didn't go to like the actual website for the actual location. I just relied on Google's little thing that says it's open.
Never do that, by the way.
Yeah.
Google doesn't know shit.
Google doesn't really know. Google thinks it knows, but it doesn't really know. And I just made that mistake. I was just in I was not in a good place after getting pulled over, and you know, you just have days where things just slide all one direction. And that was that day. I know we're done with it, so we're okay. We're moving on.
Today's already been much better.
Today's already been a whole lot better. Found out I'm not gonna die, which is great. So, or at least, I mean, I'm not gonna die like anytime soon. So that's good.
I guess we all will eventually, huh?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Father Time is undefeated. Okay, listen. Father Time is undefeated. You do not win. You will always end up on the losing end of that, and that's okay. But yeah. Anyway, so let's go ahead and throw our wash on this base. I'm gonna do that. Get that over with, and then we'll move on to some of these other things, getting those details done, and yeah, the other stuff that we got to do. That's what we're gonna move on to. I'm making a whole lot of sense right now. Let's play some music so that I can stop right in my mouth and sound like a weirdo. Of course, she's gonna try to play a commercial first, because that's, you know, YouTube. Not that I mind YouTube. I love you. Thank you for letting me post my stuff here for free. Alright, so we're going to come through. I'm just going to run this raw umber right on top of it. And then in the end, we're going to finish it off. I have a really nice powder to get that dusty look that Cullen was talking about. But this does seem like it's supposed to be some sort of grass or growth. So we're going to go for that. We're definitely going to go for a little bit of that grass. But I like the idea, because he did say that the battlefield was pretty dusty and red. So I think we're going to do dusty and red in a lot of this, and then we'll do that. This is like a green, some sort of moss maybe. I gotta come up with some colors for that.
Sorry, I'm having an issue with my pencil sharpener. I had to running a number 2 through it.
Well, I never choose. Those are for playing Nux with.
Oh well, it's very sharp now, so enjoy. Had to clean my blade. It gets dumped up from the color.
Did you ever play Nux? Maybe out there play Nux, where you take the pencil and you try and smash the other pencil with it. And
I watched other people play it on the bus, but I am not that ridiculous of an individual to participate.
Ridiculous. You just had to be a little, you know. All right,
maybe it was ridiculous.
Maybe it was a little ridiculous. Maybe it was a little ridiculous. So for those of you who've never played this game, and it's got like a million different names, I'm sure. Where you take a pencil and you hold your pencil. Where's that pencil?
The one I sharpened.
Yeah. This is fun. It's a live show. Let's talk about this for fun. So you would take a pencil like this, right? And you'd hold it. And your friend would take their pencil like this, you know, and they'd flick the pencil down, and they'd smack the other pencil with it. And if you snap the other person's pencil in half, then you got to smack their knuckles. If you didn't crash it in half, they got to smack your knuckles. And so you just like snap each other on the knuckles with your pencil.
Lots of bloody knuckles.
Man, because it takes a while to snap through pencils like that. It was a really stupid game. I don't know why we played it, but golly, it was that's some reminiscing right there. Wow. Shit, good Lord, I can't believe we did stuff like that. I mean, I can, you know.
Yeah.
Kids are weird.
There were some kids that would get little pieces of lead, like, lodged in their skin.
Yeah, I usually, like, if I was going to play pencils or Nux, then I got a pencil that hadn't been sharpened before.
Yeah, that
was the best, because you're going to stab yourself with a pencil? Are you kidding? No. No. That sounds like a bad idea. Oh, man. Oh, okay. I think I know what we're gonna do with this moss. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. And we're gonna throw a little sap green down on there. Yeah, snap green. Yeah, well, Macho Man. Green always rides to the top. My youngest son is now super into wrestling. It's kind of fun. I like wrestling just because it's ridiculous. And I like shows, so any kind of good show. And most wrestling's a pretty good show. I'm gonna throw this down on here. And I really don't care if it's gonna get muddy with it, because we're gonna throw. I need to really put a bit of that wash in there with it, and we can come back later. But since it came to my head, I figure we should probably drop this in right now. And we're gonna dust some of this too. We'll let that dust come up right to the edge of this, and I may even flock it, because I've got that flock laying around here. But we definitely need to get some color down underneath it. You don't want to just throw your flock right on top of something gray. It never really looks right. So you got to at least get it black, or an earth tone, something that's going to work with what you're doing. I also think we're going to come back and pick out these individual rocks, and we're going to do them some slightly different tones. Because this could definitely be some sort of grass, and things like that. It's hard to tell, when you look at the 3D print, you're like, man, what is that? And the artist had an idea, and your job as the painter is to kind of figure out what the sculptor was doing, as much as it is, figuring out your color scheme. Like I wanted to have this color dress and those color boots or whatever. Some of it is literally coming through and figuring out what all this little stuff is. So just kind of pick it out a little bit. You don't have to worry too much about it. And seeing like the stuff that's under here, this has definitely got to be some sort of moss. So we may play it slightly different than we play like something up here. So up here I may add, like we add a flock to this, it's going to look great. It'll look like actual grass. But something down here, we actually want to paint it up and give it that, you know how lichen and moss and stuff like that can get a different tone and color to it. And that kind of is what this looks like. It looks like it's the stuff that grows on rocks and stones. But you try to be faithful to your source material as best you can. Before you kind of start going off, into another direction. If there's no match for it in the actual source material, that's when you should really kind of go wild with it. A little bit of a different take if you want, and things like that. But regardless of what we make these things, we can start off with the same green. This is a sap green by Winsor Newton. It's a good natural green color. My favorite green to use is phthalo green. I love using that color, but sometimes it's not the right color. Phthalo is an unnatural color. It's a chemical color. It's something that we invented as humans. Kind of like magenta, and there's a couple other colors that are like that don't actually, in reality, don't actually exist in like a natural form. We had to invent them. They are visual colors, so we see them now, but like no flower actually makes true magenta without us doing something to it. There's colors that are similar to it, but not exactly what we call, when you actually buy the color magenta, it's a chemical. Same thing with phthalo. Phthalo's blue and green are both chemicals. They're not produced in nature, but they do look like things in nature.
Interesting.
Yep. It's paints and pigments that we invented to simulate things that you couldn't, because the flowers that have the color that look like magenta, it's actually it's how we're seeing the spectrum of light that the color is reflecting at us.
Right.
And you can't dry it out and make a color that does that.
Right.
So we had to invent a color. It's not a real pigment. It's not like raw umber and raw sienna come from real pigments. Something that we make.
Right.
You make that color out of pigments. You know, like they used to have, what was the there's one that was really famous called Mummy Brown. Have you ever heard the story of Mummy Brown? So for those of you out there who don't know the story of Mummy Brown is awesome. And kind of sad, you know, because humans are horrible people. Terrible. Anyway, so there, for a long time, there was a brown out there that was very, very popular called Mummy Brown. This brown was made from, as you can guess, mummies. Now, they would take the mummy and they would grind it up and they would make this paint out of it. And it was this nice dark brown, very similar to raw umber, but not quite so dirty looking, more just like a natural, almost like the color of sticks, and it was very natural looking brown, and a good in between from like umber and sienna, you know.
Yep.
So,
I know.
Because there's not really an in between there anymore.
And you constantly wish that there was.
Yeah, there used to be. It was called Mummy Brown. And so eventually, though, there, as you can foresee a problem coming, there is a spot where there is no longer a chance to have Mummy Brown because either A, ethics, or B,
lack of sources.
Lack of mummies. And unfortunately, you can probably guess which ones humanity made happen.
We're so awesome.
We're so awesome. So, you know, sometimes we can do some amazing things. Humans are sometimes the most caring, wonderful individual creatures on the planet. Some are not. Nick Beersley says, yeah, not the biggest fans of humans. Yeah, we're very horrible to each other. It's really strange. Because, I mean, it's like, okay, number one, you're digging up mummies. You're violating the dead. Cats are cooler. Yeah, cats are pretty cool.
I agree. Cats are cool.
So, you know, not only did we dig up and desecrate this person's grave, but now we're going to grind them up and use it to make paints. And the thing is, like, there's a lot of very famous paintings out there that probably have Mummy Brown on them.
Absolutely, yeah. It was widely used for a long time.
Yeah, it was widely used for a long time. Because it just wasn't... It was just one of those weird changes in our sensibilities, you know?
I have a color that I think is kind of close to it in my favorite set of pencils. They call it sandbar brown.
Man, I really like the idea of turning that into liking. A little bit of that moss, stone moss, you know.
Yeah.
I think I have a perfect color for it too. That pale olive should be money. We gotta darken up the insides of it real good. Yeah, it should look great. I'm really excited about that. But yeah, Mummy Brown, guys. That's a fun one.
That's a fun one.
And remember, don't jab your brushes into these sort of things. It may look like I'm doing that, but I'm really just kind of very gently rubbing little spots. Servant Beardsley says there are even more not good paintings that have Mummy Brown on them. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. For all the good art, there's like a million bad art, works of bad art out there. I mean, honestly, I think all my art's kind of not great, but that's just me personally. Artists, we always have this kind of angsty thing with our work where it's like, bleh. because all you see, some of us, all we see is the flaws, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, no, there's tons of really, really bad art out there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's tons of like there's probably a ton of like therapeutic kind of art that had that going on, because that's back when, you know, aristocracy, painting was part of their escape. It was part of their like therapy. So there's probably plenty of paintings that never saw the light of day. Maybe even just got destroyed or thrown away. You might even go to a pawn shop, or not pawn shop, but like a thrift store, and some of those old junk paintings that are on the wall, you never know, they might have Mummy Brown in it. A little bit of that Mummy Brown. We should try to get a hold of some of the. They make a substitute. It's not actual mummy anymore, but they make a paint. They make paints sometimes. You can find different companies that do it, that make them fake Mummy Brown. It's not real, but it's supposed to be close to the same color. I should try to find some for fun. Every now and again you can find like an old tube of it for sale, but it's really expensive, because it's like at this point it's like a collector's item, you know.
Right.
And the paint, I hear the paint's always dried out and no good anyway.
Right. So you really just buying them.
Yep. It barely says, I remember we went to the Arts Museum for a trip during the Arts Festival. You and I had a security guard following us around because we kept looking too close. Yeah, that's, I like to look too close. The guards are usually real close to me, because I like to look at the brush strokes. Yeah, I'm huge into getting right up close to them. I like to see how people do things, like that, down to the individual strokes of the brushes. It's really an important part of getting it right, honestly, is knowing how to get your brush into the right place, doing the right thing. And it becomes really important on stuff like this, where you're doing, you know, raised edges. You've got to be very deliberate in your brush strokes, or you could tear up your brush. There's lots of different things you can do. Yeah, she's gonna look great. So we're almost done getting all this green in. Sherwood Beersley says it's a great way to learn, seeing the brush strokes. If you stand 3 feet away, no one would ever know how something was made. Then, no knowledge and technique gets passed down. Yeah, that is true. It's definitely... I definitely feel like you should always take the time to get up close and personal with art. And you should step back a little bit too and look at it that way, because there's a viewing spot where you're supposed to be at and all that, but also, like you said, you may not see all of the work that they did and the technique that they used unless you get close. You know, and the security guard may not understand that exactly, which is probably why they were following us around. Yeah, it's perspective. Perspective is probably one of the most important things in the universe. Perspective. All right, now we're gonna go back to doing this. Nope, we got a little bit of water. There we go. Again, this is a really, 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 really wet version of the paint. We've really watered it down. Create kind of what they call a wash. You can buy different washes. I don't see the need of that. I just water down paint to the point where it becomes a wash. But it does, in order to do it that way, you do kind of have to pay attention to what you're doing, and there's a little bit of trial and error and some experimentation in there. So if that's not something you're into, I definitely recommend you go ahead and buy them. Also, buying washes can keep your consistency across like multiple models. So if you're doing like an army or something, and you want it to be super consistent, maybe that is a good reason to also buy your washes. So there's lots of different reasons why you might buy it versus making them. I'm pretty good with my colors, so I'll buy them. My color uses is goods. I've been doing that part for a long time. When I was a kid, mixing up paint was like one of my favorite parts of art. I was like, I can create any color I want. So I got really good at like taking colors and making other colors. I feel like one of my teachers probably had a hand in that. There's probably me asking for, oh, do you have this color? And they're like, well, just make it. And I was like, okay. And then I just did it. And then, I've been making colors ever since. We love story time here at Paces at Pat Paints. Alright. Let that chill out for a second. Now we have a big lump of brown. Yay. Big brown lumps. How's the background on the pandas coming?
I'm getting there. I'm about sharpening this pencil out of existence because the point keeps breaking every fucking time I do it. There's enough of it.
It's okay, we're past the 10-minute point. From what I hear, that after 10 minutes, you're usually pretty solid on the accidental cuss words. learning the little ins and outs of the what is this platform called? YouTube. Holy moly, my brain. Okay, so let's talk about swords. Definitely kind of a nice rustiness, but we need, in order to do that, we're gonna need to start off. Maybe we go with rough iron. That'll be a dark, and then we can fade them up and then rush them out. Ooh, I don't know. I'll enjoy this darker brown, this darker metal. Nope, I feel like I like that my first idea. Alright, so we're gonna do just a little bit of lead belcher. Now this is the air version, so it's super thin. Makes me want to boot up Cyberpunk. Yeah, the music, yeah. This one is it's called Cyberpunk Industrial Dark Synth Playlist, so yeah, it would definitely should be giving visions of the old cyberpunkness. Okay, so rusting is very interesting. You can buy like a rust material.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's almost like a paint you put on, and it makes it look rusted.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's also like some homemade formulas, because you can add different stuff to the paint to give it the crustiness that rust gets, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I had a recipe for it somewhere. I'll see if I can find one. But anyway, we're going to drop this lead belcher down first, and then we'll come back and do any of that extra weathering that we want. Yeah, I think we could make all that lichen, and then I could actually add a few tufts of that grass to make it look like the scrub grass that's in the game. I like the idea of the dust powder because we'll be able to come up around these blades and dust the bottoms of them to make them look like they've really been sitting there for a while. I'm definitely not worried about getting a little bit of this brown into this silver here, or the lead belcher. A little bit of brown isn't going to hurt the overall effect of what we're going to do. We're going to make these swords look dirty and old anyway. So if we get them a little dirty, it'll be fine. Yeah, I don't think I got to play Cyberpunk actually, Shy. I was busy opening restaurants and stuff, food trucking, opening restaurants. Which I definitely missed that, but I don't think I will ever go back, even if I'm healthy and medically clear to be able to stand up and do all that again. I don't know that I would go back to cooking. I loved it, but the times have changed. Things are different, and people are different, and I just don't know that I like what's happened, and instead of just getting upset about it and, you know, making other people crazy with that, just let it go and walk off. A lot of it just has to do with just the way things are now, you know.
Well, and fighting changes like that is never a good business decision.
No, you can't be a professional, and you gotta roll with the changes. And if you can't, it's time to do something else, you know. And there's nothing wrong with that. No shame in that.
No.
I was really good at what I did, but like I don't believe all restaurants should be for everybody. I think that there's certain types of people should go to certain kinds of restaurants, and because that's what kind of food they like. So if you want experimental food, you should be able to go to those kind of restaurants, and that would be a big deal. But nowadays, people feel like everything is for them, and so they might go to a restaurant, and it's probably not even on them really that they went to this experimental restaurant. They just thought it was going to be for them. The thing is that we've now given a platform for everybody to go and voice their opinion as if they were, some major food critic. And there's no recourse to these people who do this on these online, you know, influencing posts or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with it per se. But, you know, when there's no real recourse if you slander a restaurant, then there's some, I don't know, to me that's an issue that needs to kind of be looked at, and I don't know. Shai says, I miss it often, but I can't be a line cook and make a living nowadays, fortunately. Yeah, you can't. You gotta be a big time chef, and even then, you know, you're working so much when you're doing that.
Life.
It's your entire life. It's all you do from the time you wake up until the time you go to sleep is cook all day, every day. And it just makes you crazy. It makes you crazy. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of Payne's Gray here on these wraps. I love Payne's Gray. It's going to kind of be like a dark black blue. When this dries up, it's going to look fabulous. Because it will dry into like I said, it's almost like a black blue. They call it gray, but it's not. It's as gray as you might think. Not in its dark form anyway. I'm sure there's a lighter version out there somewhere that somebody's calling Payne's Gray. And if you paint Space Wolves, it's the beginning, or it's the base that makes Frenzian Gray, which is the Space Wolf color. If you just add white to this, you'll be able to mimic that same blue-gray pretty easily and a whole lot cheaper. Shai says, I love to do something like a bakery, if anything. I'm just not a customer's person. I can't get out of that mindset that customer is not always right. In fact, they're rarely right. Well, so like that whole phrase actually is the customer is always right in matters of taste. And
Yeah.
there's where the problem lies, is that customers have gotten, in restaurants in particular, this isn't everywhere, but a lot of the customers in restaurants, the bad ones, not the good ones, of which there are honestly more of. It just doesn't feel that way because the bad ones take up so much oxygen. Anyway, it's just not, it's not constructive anymore, and it's suffocating, and I lost my train of thought a little bit, but because it's just so bad and so prevalent, and they're not complaining about that. No, I don't know what I'm saying. They don't complain about it's not a matter of taste. It's a matter of everything. It's a matter of, well, I don't like the way that your waitress is dressed.
The lady that complained that her buttercream icing wasn't white enough.
Right, the buttercream icing wasn't white enough. It's butter. It's made out of butter. Butter is in fact yellow. So, like, if we make it out of butter, it's not. Shai says, LOL. What?
Yeah, that's what you get working in a bakery. Don't take weddings. Because I worked at a bakery, and we had a lady that, she was very upset that the buttercream icing she insisted on was not, in fact, white enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buttercream. White buttercream. I wanted it to be like buttercream, but I want you to make it out of vegetable shortening.
You seriously should have done that, but...
I mean, yeah, you should have, and then charged her like it was butter.
The lady I worked for just put almost an entire bottle of white food coloring in it, which I didn't know that was a thing previous to this.
Yeah, that's gotta taste terrible. Lord. It's so crazy.
It's crazy.
But that definitely is back to that, like, the customer thinks they're right, and
Yeah.
and it's just like, okay, well, I guess I have to do this for you.
Yeah.
This isn't gonna work out the way you think, and it's gonna really suck for me when that all goes south. But I'm gonna do what you're asking.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. Yeah, you're just...
You live and you learn. And then you ask more questions the next time. Like, so let's have some talk about what you mean by buttercream. White buttercream. Let's talk about what white buttercream means to you, and then what white buttercream actually means in reality. Holy moly. People are definitely a little bit crazy.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes you just really don't honestly know what thing it is that they're not going to understand, and then it's going to become a problem.
Yeah, no,
especially
that's
with
true.
food. So,
Oh, I imagine it's true with anything. I mean,
I just lived it so much with food.
yeah, I lived it so much in restaurants, but I imagine that even in like clothing, there's people that don't understand how.
But they think that they do.
They think that they do, and then they get mad because it's not exactly what they think it is, and
Yeah.
like you think you know what this garment of clothing is, and you keep asking for it, and they keep bringing you what you're asking for, but what you're actually asking for is a different garment of clothing
Right.
that has a different name
Right.
that is similar.
Yeah. That probably does happen.
I'll bet it does. I wonder what happened to us as people where we started. We just stopped giving everyone that patience. We stopped giving everybody else that. When we stopped thinking of that maybe we didn't have all the answers. But like it seems like as a society at one point we've kind of started getting to where everybody thinks they know everything. Or maybe it was always like that and I just didn't notice.
Yeah, I don't know. I've noticed how much people can take offense at correction. You know, whenever I was waiting tables and they would mispronounce a menu item, and I didn't ever like overtly correct them, but I would pronounce it correctly when I repeated it back. And some people would get really offended.
That's super weird.
It is.
I don't know. To me, that doesn't seem like something that's worth getting offended over.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm just weird.
I definitely wasn't judging them, but I'm not going to say it wrong just because they said it wrong. That's weird too, right?
Right? That's super strange.
So,
Shai says, man, after working in the service industry, I have so much patience.
right?
Today, I was at the post office and old lady was huffing and puffing because she had to wait a few minutes. Man, yeah,
Right?
yeah, all the time. I'm like, wow, you're in a real big hurry there, mate. For what? Like, why? You knew you were coming to the post office, lady. How long did you think this was gonna take?
Right. If you didn't have time to do it right now, then maybe do it later. I don't know. It's just getting weird.
Yeah,
It's weird.
it's weird. Huffing and puffing. Like she gonna go blow someone's house down. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like people. Oop, get down here. I feel like people have lost their patience with a lot of things. Maybe they have. Who knows? Or maybe there's just a whole lot more of us. And so we remember the bad things. You know, that's a real thing. You just kind of get to where the only thing the stuff you remember that's the most prevalent are the things that create the biggest shock to your system. And so it may always seem like the bad or the messed up or whatever is what's the most prevalent, but it really isn't, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just crazy. Who knows? Maybe a bit of both. Oh yeah. Okay. 46 minutes in. Looking pretty phenomenal. Let me come back to a little bit more of that ledge. So I'm looking at these little spots. There might be a little more of this. We gotta let this finish drying a little bit though. We figure out what we're gonna paint these and figure out what color we want to do on those. Bronze would look fun, but maybe a touch overdone. Got a lot of bronze on there already. I don't know. Think about it. And these flags, I don't know what color to paint these either. Okay, well, let's work on these for a little while. Put a little bit of Payne's gray on these little cord pieces, whatever these are. Bring those back out for us. I kind of got lost. I vote red ribbons or stained white cloths with dirt and blood, like used bandage. Ooh, I like that.
I like that too.
Good call, Shy. I like that idea. Bloody bandages.
Goes with her bloody leg that I wasn't sure if I was hallucinating or not.
Yeah. It's actually a thing called scarlet rot.
Ew. Well, that sounds worse.
Right? Be careful, be careful. Don't get any on your dress. Don't make a little mess. Oody, 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 yes. Back here in the back in the Society of the Hidden Paint area. Okay, now let's switch. I'm gonna switch over to this 4 on the 5. I'm gonna put just a white dot on these dots. And we're gonna come back and we're gonna put just a touch of ink on them. That'll really help them make them shine like they're gems. Oop, get where you can see. There we go. Sign the base. I gotta put my name. Let's see, it's right there. Mr. Gold is on. It's good to see you, sir. I will definitely be signing this one. This one's. This one is gonna be a good one.
He says that like the others weren't.
No, listen, the other ones were good. This one, I'm in love with this girl.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. You better watch out. Right? I like, as in this sculpt. And it's.
I knew what you meant.
I know what you meant. I'm explaining to anybody who might be listening.
Oh.
Michael Gold says, when you become the next Picasso, I can say I knew you. I love it, man. I love it. I'm more of the Bobby Ross type. Picasso was a interesting guy. Man, so like Picasso had like this super young girl that he tormented this woman because they were so in love, but he was so crazy. He kind of like drove her nuts. Artists, I think, can be like that. I think we're kind of crazy like that. Oh, she's gonna look so good. Super excited. All right, let's see. We'll do some white. I think we'll do, because we were doing white on these little pieces here. And then I want to get a little bit. Be very careful here. I'm really just trying to pull the edges of this out. Now remember, your white is going to fade, so it's going to help work with us here. But I don't want to get it down in those creases, because then it'll take away the look that we worked so hard to get. Beardley says, man, a few weeks ago I reinstalled Elden and started playing again in preparation for the DLC. Yeah, that's what Cullen's doing, my son. He's been getting ready for it. I know he's super excited. It's so beautiful. The game is really pretty. I might try it just to say I did. The Dark Souls games were a little bit tough for me. I don't know that I have that kind of patience anymore now that I've gotten older. I think there's a thing about it that you just kind of. Now when I was fitting it on her cape, I noticed that this section here needs just a little bit of maybe some darkening up to help us kind of hide the spot where it's connecting. There's this says the new trailers they've put out look incredible. The ideas for enemy designs are so cool. Yeah, they really do know how to put together some solid design, man. It's a good looking stuff. They you can tell that they take pride in what they're doing. And that there's some cohesion to it, you know. It's thought out. It's not. It says they're just in the room like, what if we make them fight a 20-foot tall fire brazier with arms and legs? Yeah, I know. It's got that old. There's a part of old D&D that was like that. Dungeons and Dragons kind of had this old, the older versions had this thing where it felt like you were just kind of fighting anything anyone could bring to life, you know. The idea of fighting a gelatinous cube or a pudding. Well, literally the puddings come from the idea of somebody fighting pudding. It like an owlbear. Some of those original D&D characters literally came from them buying like a package of plastic monsters and deciding that this is what they were called for their game that they were designing. And that kind of creativity is super cool. And I feel like the people over at FromSoft or Force, whatever the name of the company is, I keep forgetting it. I feel like they have that same thing where they're like, they see an object and they're like, hey, what if that came to life? And it became a thing you fought. How would it fight? What would it be like? What would we call it? And I love that kind of creativity. FromSoft. I was on it. Hey, I did good. I'm proud of myself. Alright, so we're coming back. We're just lightening up parts of this chest. We don't want to lighten up all of it. Just some of it. That way we can start to create that definition, that volume, that voluptuousness for her. Voluptuousness. Anyway, I'm always worried about what I say on here. For her boobs, trying to make her boobs look right. You know, I think her skin is like way clearer than this, honestly. Alright, so this is a little bit of burnt Siena, or no, burnt Umber. Oh, for sure. We used that kind of as a wash in here earlier. I'm just going to add a little bit more underneath. And maybe we did this same thing with her thighs. We're going to come back in while it's still wet. And we're going to kind of wet blend a little bit of our flesh in here. Now a little bit of wet blend. There we go. Now you can see again. That way we can get that look. And now we've got that separation here to make it look right. And it's slightly darker down here underneath, and a little bit lighter here on the top, which is what we want. That way when it puts it all together, it's going to stand out properly. Salmon will look. It will look just like well, close. Well, we're gonna get all that set in. I really think we're gonna end up having to do some backfilling of material behind this cloak to get it to set properly. But you can kind of see the idea now. Okay. I'm so afraid. Like, it thing's really solid, but I'm always so scared with resin that like I touch it and I'm afraid that I'm gonna like crush it. It's so it's wild. Anyway, we're done with that. We're gonna come back tomorrow. I'm gonna finish letting those dry all the way. We'll throw on our red gem. You know what? Nah, I want to do that today. Alright, we need some red ink. Red ink. Yes. Bada bing. So yeah, okay, so we're gonna throw this on and then we're gonna close out for the day. And we're gonna come back tomorrow and get back to work on some other stuff. Time flies when you're having a good time.
Right?
Yeah, it's always more fun when we have folks on talking. Really makes these things go by. Okay, so this is an Indian ink. I love Indian ink for gems because it's still shiny when it dries. Very carefully, just cover up all the white that you put down. Okay, where you can see what I'm doing. Don't let this stuff get away from you. It stains. Honestly, this may end up be one of my best pieces I've ever painted. She's gonna look so good. I really liked that Malakath too. I thought it was really neat, but I didn't. This particular sculpt, I'm so in love. I love her. I love her sculpt. I love her style. I'm digging the colors. Malakath, there wasn't like a whole lot of like depth to the color work. It was just very technical. He was a very technical project. This one's a little bit more, there's some color and some thought you have to put behind what we're doing. And some of that's the sculptor. This one's not quite as true to form as that Malakath was. That Malakath was a whole lot closer to the actual piece. Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah, those look great. Those turned out fantastic. Alright, well there we go. Now, take her busted leg. Oh yeah. Holy moly. That little bit of red on there really pops off better than I thought it would. Oh my goodness, did you finish them?
I don't know if it's finished.
Well, if it's finished, I can show them off.
Okay, well, I mean, you can show them off whether it's finished or not. This is background, I don't know. But
Is that the first one or the second one?
second one. We don't just need to do more. Just might need more coverage.
one doesn't have quite as much yellow in it. But these look fantastic. They look great, though. And coloring is kind of the same thing as this miniature work, really. You're taking somebody else's art and you're trying to put your art on top of it.
I think I'm happier with that one.
This one seems like it maybe, yeah, it's got more of the blue note. More of the blue and more of the yellow notes on this one. They look great. They look fantastic, though. Awesome. Well, see, Shay says they look very cute. Love the pandas.
Thank you.
So, awesome. Well, that's going to be it for us for today. I'll be back tomorrow. Kristen will be back next week. She's here on the Wednesday shows. I think that's going to be us for today. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you later. Roll that outro.